What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Clock's Runnin, podcast for everything flag football officials. I'm Ant.
Made you got your mind off of things. What's up, man?
Why are you grinning already?
Just a great day to be here, man.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, there's been so much going on in the world, the wide world of flag football. It's crazy lately, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think the tournament in Mexico got everybody stirred up.
I mean, hey, you put $15,000 on the line. That's gonna bring out some emotions for sure.
Absolutely. Hurt some feelings for sure.
Yeah, and I guess you win some, you lose some, because one team from Mexico did win in the women's division, which I'm always excited about.
Of course,
you
hated the United States. We know.
And then Hoosh had his all-star team that won the men's won the men's division. So no, but the semifinal game in the men's division was really good. The championship was kind of a blowout, but. That being said, usually, right? The semifinal game is usually the best one.
Right.
That being said, though, IFAF games, I went back and watched a good amount of them. It's so funny because everyone thinks IFAF and is going to bring on all these penalty flags. It's like 2 or 3 a game. Like, it's really, when they're used to it and all the players understand this is what we're doing, Absolutely. They adapt, and it really doesn't have too many penalty flags. So, right. Anyway, though, as far as Fox Running goes in our podcast, we still want to spend a little bit more time on Tampa. So That being said, if you want to introduce our guest tonight, Jacob.
Absolutely, bring him in. So this is the co-founder of USA Flag. He's one of the GOATs, in my opinion. He makes everything better for everybody, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, however you want to look at it. Welcome, Travis.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here. Thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Do you consider yourself behind the scenes or in front of the scenes? I guess we got to figure that out first.
I think it's a little bit of both.
At this point, more behind the scenes for sure. At the events, more leading this, I guess, charge when it comes to just kind of future strategy and stuff like that. But yeah, no, we lean on Jacob and those guys to run the events, and I'm very much behind the scenes now when it comes to the tournaments themselves.
Yeah, for sure. So before you kind of talk about every new guest we bring on, they share their origin story, but I've had a lot of experiences with you, Travis, and I wanted to, over the last handful of years. So, I just wanted to share a little bit. First and foremost, I can admit I don't think my team ever beat Allen Elite, unfortunately.
That was a short stint, but we did have some good games.
But I'm not going to be the guy that says the refs were involved or anything like that. You had a solid team. It was you and Kevin and a few other guys. I just think about the tournament in Seattle. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember that one pretty well. I had a good time out there.
Yeah, I mean, besides the fact that it rained like 72 of the 75 hours that I was there, it was a good time, and I think we ended up going against you guys in the Force Championship, in the Gauntlet Championship, and the Fire Championship.
All three.
And
how does second place feel, Ant?
Hey, you know what though? In the points rankings, we looked pretty good after that tournament. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, you did. That was a fun time. I definitely remember when we had our Allen Elite team going. It was we had some good battles with you guys for sure at a couple tournaments, I think. So yeah, Seattle was a lot of fun, even though it was wet. But yeah.
No, for sure. So on a personal level, Travis, I want you to know that this organization and everything you've been a part of creating has been huge in my life and flag football, and the opportunity to be able to travel and just being able to go somewhere where everyone it's just the environment, the culture, and everyone's having a good time. And even if we're things get heated or whatever during games, like it's amazing what you've created, and it's been something that's helped me immensely with my mental health and just my overall well-being. So I just wanted to share that with you.
I love to hear that. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, hopefully other people feel the same way, and we want it to be more than just, a game. We want it to be, and a lot of people, it is their lifestyle and what they look forward to in their vacations, and yeah, it's what keeps them sane sometimes. So I love hearing that. Appreciate that. Thanks for supporting us for a long time. So
Yeah,
thanks to you.
for sure. So just go ahead and lay it on us. I know that you've got a long standing relationship with flag football. So
Sure.
what is your origin story? What brought you to this point?
So, I mean, going all the way back, I first started playing flag in college, just freshman year of college, straight out of high school, playing like the local city leagues, and then intramurals at A&M. I still list on my LinkedIn that my degree is in intramurals because I didn't graduate from A&M because I pretty much was just playing intramurals and was just learned to love flag football in college. And I started selling like little flag football playbooks that I made in Microsoft Paint way back in the day, and was just kind of fell in love with it. And I came out of college and started working locally with some groups that were doing some flag football stuff, and immediately started playing. So this was back in like 2007, 2008, and then played for a while in some of the national events, but more locally here in the Dallas area, in some of the Flag Football X events that I originally kind of helped build and worked with them, and just love flag football. It was about 2015 when Chuck, my business partner, who most everybody knows, the co-founder, with me on, at the time, Flag Football World Championship Tour, now USA Flag. I was actually running a little blog called Flag Spin that was just more content, and I just love the sport of flag football and was creating strategies and plays and just some articles about tournaments. And he found me. We started talking about flag football and what we love about it. We had to set up a phone call. He wanted to sell some sponsorships and was working with some event owners, and we just came up and with a concept after brainstorming for hours to kind of work with the tournaments and help them get better, the ones that already existed, by bringing sponsors and kind of connecting all of those tournaments on a tour, which we called the Flag Football World Championship Tour. And really, it was just a way for us to justify going and playing and spending money and traveling to all of these tournaments, and finding a way to sell the wife on being traveling for 12 months a year and doing all the things that we were going to do. And didn't really have a plan on it turning into a business, but it kind of took off. And then we started running a couple of our own events, and Orlando in 2018 was 2017. Orlando was our first major event where we put a pretty significant cash prize and had like 200 and something teams at that event, which was only our second tournament ever. And honestly was a nightmare in every sense of the word for us running it. I literally was as stressed as I've ever been. Almost everything that could go wrong went wrong. I left being like, I'm never doing this again. Like, there's no way. And, settled down a little bit, talked to Chuck about what we could do better, started talking to some other bigger conversations. And, luckily we had a really good staff around us at the time that we had just kind of started to get to know. And, we stuck with it and we started running more events. And, we, whenever the old USFTL staff kind of moved over and started working with us, that helped a ton. Having Natalie was a complete game changer for us. Because before it was just two idiots, me and Chuck, trying to run this company and trying to do all the detail work. Neither one of us can sit still for 5 minutes and do anything worth doing on a daily basis. So she changed everything for us, and everybody knows and loves Natalie. It's been around for a long time, and the other staff that we kind of brought over from there, and it just kind of snowballed over the last 5 years. It's grown tremendously, not just us, but everybody in flag, the sport as a whole. And I'd like to think we had something to do with that, but and
Absolutely.
now we're where we're at. I mean, it's just the Olympic announcement has been, amazing for the sport and the awareness of the sport and how professional they view it, and so has the women's sport getting into college, and now that there's scholarship opportunities, and so it's just a really good time to be around and be in the sport, and we're blessed to have been a part of it.
Yeah. What tournament do you think was the first tournament of yours that wasn't a nightmare? Do you remember that one where it just like things shifted in the right direction?
Um, man, I would say, but from an event standpoint, it might have gotten all the way to like probably 2020 or 2021. Right after we had the really, really bad event in Orlando in 2020 that we will not speak of. The 2021 tournament in Panama City Beach, for all intents and purposes, I just for some reason remember feeling like, this event went really smooth from start to finish. Wasn't a massive event. We'd kind of spread out the youth and the adults over 2 weekends. I don't remember. Was that your first tournament with us, Jacob?
It was.
That
It
was
was a
the
lot of
only
fun.
reason. Obviously, clearly,
Well,
Jacob
I mean,
was the only reason that I remember feeling that way. Obviously, but I mean, and we've had some really good events since then, but there's never a perfect event by any
yeah,
stretch. I mean, there's always something we can do better or something that goes wrong that's out of our control, and probably both in on all occasions. So, but we have gotten to a point where we've minimized what can go wrong. We've got a really good platform and system and directors and staff who know what we want, and they, are go out there and can execute it. And aside from travel delays or weather or, personnel issues occasionally, the rest of it has gotten to where we can manage it. And so it's nice, it's nice to
yeah.
be at a point where every event is not a nightmare anymore, as much.
Okay, hold on. I got to back up a little bit here. You're telling me you don't control the weather in Florida in January?
I think somebody does, because they keep coming down on us whenever that shouldn't. It's like, and the week right after is 75 degrees and sunny every single year. It seems like
It's a
we just
sick
can't
individual
find the
who
right
does.
week. But yeah,
Yeah.
I really wish I could, but no, unfortunately, I mean, Tampa was a wild one because we had 4 of probably the best wet days of weather we've ever had, and
Yep.
then one of by far the worst days we've ever had on the last day. So it was a little bit of a mixed bag, but
Yeah.
at least it was the last day and not one of the first days or
Oh,
even
yeah.
the middle, because that would have made the whole event miserable. So
Yep.
it could have been worse, but no, I wish I could.
For sure. So speaking of Tampa, this year's Tampa, just talk about that. Tell us the good, the bad, the ugly of that event.
Yeah, I mean, this was a big one for us, I think, this year. Every year we kind of take what we hope is an incremental step up. We always go back to the drawing board after every tournament and think, what can we do better? And generally every year I feel like and feel good about that we've made incremental progress. And I feel like this year just felt like we took maybe 2 steps. Like it just was a little bit of a bigger jump from the atmosphere, having Tyreek Hill out there, all the sponsors, the broadcast with CBS, the Guinness Book of World Records. And good weather, for the first 4 days helps everything tremendously, from attitudes and, what everybody's experience is. So it just, felt bigger. We had a lot of really good eyeballs on us too, from like, potential bigger sponsors and other things that we're just trying to do to grow the sport and provide more opportunities for everybody. So that was good. Obviously Sunday was miserable for the staff and the players and the coaches and the parents and all of those things. I'm actually really, really proud of how our staff handled it. And, I know everybody looks at it differently, but man, when you're in a situation where you're closed down for hours and this is a travel day, we can't just push it back another day. We can't reschedule.
Yeah.
Our youth already played pool play. They still have to play playoffs, and, having to rearrange schedule and make it work. It is so much more work than people realize. And I think most people would have just canceled at that point because it would have been too hard to recover from, or wouldn't have been able to, or been there longer and stuff. So it was bad, but it was also good in that sense because, things are going to happen. So from my end, it was great to see how, we were able to get through that, even with those circumstances that were outside of anybody's control. But it was fun, man. I hope everybody else felt the same way. It feels like they did. We had a lot of really good responses. I know there's always going to be issues with officials and, some other things that are outside of our control, or issues that, we, make mistakes occasionally. Directors make mistakes, officials make mistakes, I make mistakes, but we always, try our best to correct them. And I feel like it went well from that standpoint. And I will say that we, we're already at the drawing board talking about Tampa next year, and already have a bunch of really good plans. And our sponsors and our bigger partners, this was their like Body Armor. This was their first year with us. And from what they've told us, they were blown away and want to go in more and want to, get to more events. And so all of that just snowballs into a better experience. The more people can see an event like Tampa. So yeah, it was good. I feel like for us this year, I'm happy that it went well for most people as well.
Yeah, Jacob, do you feel like lightning delays and rain delays that happened in Nashville kind of better prepared you and the other directors for what happened in Tampa?
It was a great practice run because I mean it was almost identical, much larger scale, and fortunately everybody kind of fell into a role of, hey, this is what I need to do to get everything back rolling. But it was, ducks on the water is probably the best way to describe it. At the surface, everybody looks like they're smooth sailing, everything's okay, but right underneath, feet are paddling, feet are kicking, frantically trying to keep everything moving. So yeah, I think Nashville definitely helped as far as getting your mind right for what's supposed to happen. I also think it takes a special group of people, kind of to echo what Travis said, to make that work.
For sure.
And hats off to everybody who did make that. From the staff to the officials, getting to where they needed to be and doing what they needed to do as well.
Yeah, and Travis, I don't know if you know this, but apparently here in Ohio, guys really think they can race and step up to Tyreek Hill with no issues at all. I don't know if you saw that video, but
I did briefly. I don't remember everything about it, but yeah, and they're not the smartest sometimes. That's all right.
it's funny because I heard one of those players like during a game that night talking about it still, like, yeah, I'm the one that stepped up to Tyreek Hill. I'm like, okay, come on.
It was pretty funny, but
Yeah.
I don't think that one was advised. But yeah.
Yeah. So, Travis, from not so much from a player standpoint, but in your role now, is there a format that you love that's your favorite to watch?
You know, I still just love the traditional 5-on-5 non-contact, like our primary base style that we have the most teams in. But I loved Gauntlet when it first came out. I haven't played it in like a year. But Gauntlet, we went out the gate and played it in a couple of tournaments with that Allen Elite team, that you were talking about. And I had a lot of fun playing that. That was definitely one of my favorite styles for a while. It doesn't feel like it's really caught on at the level, and it's just harder to make some of those divisions. So I still know 5-man non-contact in and out, and that's my favorite. 4-man, not anymore. I just couldn't do it. I can quarterback a little bit, but I couldn't play anywhere else for it at all. And I do like the aired out style. I've only played it a couple times because I don't play as often as I used to, but that style, I think, I love that it's growing really fast and that a lot of teams are playing it, because I think that that's going to be a style that probably is our second, most popular before too long, if it's not already. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So looking ahead to this coming year, what changes have you guys made for as far as the tournaments go?
So first off, we're kind of stepping back a little bit from the quantity of tournaments that we've run in the past. So we slimmed the schedule down a little bit so that it's easier for people to get to all the events, and we made sure that the events that we did pick are generally in good travel destinations that players will want to. We've got a couple new ones, some fan favorites, and ones that have always been big events coming up like Vegas and some others. So the biggest change, though, beyond that, is just how our series operates. Every year, our national championship moves around. Whether it's been from Memorial Day all the way to I think October one year, and everywhere in between. And this year, what made the most sense was to look at putting every event leading into nationals, and then having our national championship feed directly into our world championships. Whereas because it's at the end of our schedule, it's closer to the end of November, which is a great time for the Arlington National Championships. That weekend before Thanksgiving is always a away game for the Dallas Cowboys because they always play home on Thanksgiving. So from a hotel standpoint, Arlington's going to be for the next foreseeable future a great destination for hotels and everything else, but there's a lot of sports still going on. and it's just great weather and a good time of year to be there. So all of our events, points and bids are going to feed into the national championship, because every event other than nationals and worlds will be before it. And then nationals, the only way to earn your seeding for the world championships is in your national championships. So all of the teams that attend the Arlington Nationals in November, they'll basically end up with whatever their final standings are, will be their starting seeds going into Tampa. Anybody who was not at Arlington at the national championship, they'll start below that on the seeding list, and then it'll go by points, just like our normal situation would have been. So it's extra important. We're basically trying to get as many teams as we can into Arlington to qualify and to rank. And being the number one seed going into Tampa is a really big deal. And not being in Arlington at all is going to put you back a little bit, because you're going to start below all the other teams that attended Arlington in your seeding. So it's a little bit of a change. I mean, it's putting more emphasis on the national championships, because we want the majority of the teams to kind of feed into the way that the schedule is operating, and into nationals, into worlds. And Arlington's going to be a really good event this year. We have some other pretty fun plans. We're talking about doing an opening ceremonies at Texas Live, doing possibly like a celebrity softball style event in partnership that might have some flag influence, like on that same night, and some other like kind of bigger events tied to that we can do because it's in Arlington. So it's definitely an event they're not going to want to miss as well. But so that's the gist of it. It's not too different. It's just because the nationals is the end, everything feeds into nationals, and now the only way to feed into world championships is through nationals. You can still register for worlds as an open team. It'll be open to everybody, but you're going to want to be at nationals from a seeding standpoint for sure.
Gotcha. Okay, to trying to switch gears a little bit. So clock's running. We're all about officials, and we love talking about rules and all of that. Now I know that on social media, Travis, you're getting all kinds of this ref sucks and this ref does this and all that. But that's not beneficial to anybody. That never helps. So I just want to ask you, like, what is the rule, or a few different rules that you hear about the most, whether it's good or bad? What gets the most noise as far as rules go?
I get a lot of questions revolving. A lot of them are just based on rules that we've changed or tweaked or might be different. And other ones, like starting without a flag on, I get asked about a lot. I guess just different rules in regards to contact or jumping, or what's allowed. Because we have over the years kind of slowly changed our rules. A lot of rushing questions, and for a long time that was a big question: is how the rush works. How to, like, can the rusher go straight to the quarterback? What if he changes his lane? What if the quarterback rolls? Can he do? So it's a lot of like technical stuff, but a lot of it is because before we came in, it was the Wild West. Everybody was using completely different rules, and even the officials are coming to our World Championships from areas that they're reffing the rest of the year under completely different rules. And so we understand, and we're trying. That's why we've put a lot of emphasis in trying to standardize the rules as much as we can, and get other groups to start working with them.
Right.
But yeah, those would be the ones that I can think of. But and there've been plenty that I don't, I didn't understand, or that I pushed for, and I've been wrong about when I was playing too. Jacob, and I'm sure you've all seen it. So.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think back to I think it was the first time that there was co-ed aired out, and I think you played in it, Travis. And I think I was officiating one of those first games in Vegas, and I think all of us had questions about that format. So
yeah,
definitely.
I remember a lot of questions coming up. Like, and sometimes we've created a lot of styles, and there have definitely been times where we thought we had all the rules fleshed out, and we didn't. And so we have to amend them or add things or tweak it or clarify and all that. So that's pretty much an every tournament situation. We're always coming back and saying, we need to add this, we need to update this, or we need to change that. So yeah, it happens, unfortunately. But
yeah. Jacob, would you agree that probably impeding the rush is what you get the most feedback from?
Oh, absolutely. That's the most controversial thing, because that's where intent, judgment, all that stuff comes into play, and people don't consider all of that when they're looking at it. It's all they expect it to be just black and white and no questions asked. And there's so many different scenarios and things. Things can happen. I try to say flag football. It's anything's possible. Dumb stuff happens all the time, and people just don't get that.
Yeah.
So
also the catching, like whether it's a catch or not, like a quick catch being knocked out, did he have possession long enough? That gets asked and posted and all the time. But yeah,
flag catch. Is it a flag catch? Is it this? Is it that? And it's like you're just making stuff up at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so just a couple more questions for you, Travis. So
sure.
Something that we've talked a lot about on this show is who the GOAT of flag football is. And I think everyone, depending on when they played or when they got introduced to flag football, they might have a different answer. And so, Travis, you being so involved and being around for a long period of time, I'm interested to know who your GOAT of flag football is.
All right. So I'm going to have a men's and a women's. Can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So on the men's side, for me, it would definitely be Hoosh. I've known Hoosh since before he's been playing, since before I've been playing at a national level, even though he's younger. And he's just was always incredible. And even before we really had our series, he had a run of dominance that I haven't seen in a long time, or his whole team, but he was a major part of that. And at the time he really only played one style. Now he does everything. And so for me, it's definitely Hoosh. There's some guys that are up and coming. There's Mark, who you could definitely make a case for, but just based on longevity and dominance for over history, I would give that to Hoosh for me. And then on the women's side, for me, it's Vanita. She's just been the GOAT for the longest time, and I don't think anybody's come close to, what she's done at the quarterback level and just accolades and everything else. She's deserves everything that she's earned. And, she's still kicking. I'm pretty sure she's like around my age. And I mean, she's just still dominating. And so, I mean, she's incredible, and she's got all the same things, long history, a lot of national championships, world championships and all that. I don't think from my standpoint, it's not that close with her for me, but yeah, those would be my answers.
Gotcha. So I got to stir the pot a little bit because that was a little too easy for you. So,
okay, fair enough.
All right. So I'm gonna mention 3 directors, but they all play flag football or have in the past. So it's not about how they are as a director. We're not talking about job performance here. We're talking about on the field. I need to do a start, cut, bench with you. So we're doing Chun, Pat, and George. Start, cut, bench.
Am I playing too? Okay, because this makes a huge difference. But let's just say, without any clarification, I would start Pat. I would bench George, and I would cut Chun.
That's easy.
It's like it's pretty easy for me too. Yeah,
that's the easy one.
Yeah. Sorry, Chun. There was a time when you were good, but not to that level, unfortunately, on the field. So can't give it to you.
All right. So what made you give the start for Pat over George?
He's from Texas, duh.
No. I mean, George has, they both have a ton of experience in championships, and George has been on Team USA and all that, and Pat's, is coaching for them, and they both are. But Pat, to me, he still plays at a high level, and he still can do a little bit more than George. He runs a little bit, plays defense a little bit more. Not that George can't. And George has such a long history, such a top guy. For me, Pat would be who I would take because I can use him in other ways. If we're talking about literally today, in their prime, that'd be close. Like when they were both I might take George over Pat in that scenario, but it would be close. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And then there's
then there's Chun.
I mean, hey, he's got his JAA jersey hanging up on his wall.
I'm just busting him a little bit. I love Chun. I honestly have not played or seen Chun play that much though. So for me, there's a little part of it, even though I'm just busting him up a little bit. But
Yeah. Have you ever played in his league at all, or
yeah, I
yeah?
play in his league now, or one of them he's in my backyard here in Allen for one of his
Oh,
leagues.
okay.
But he doesn't play in that one, or he hasn't since I've been in it. But yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Have you had the? I know they got that crazy rule there about if someone's not wearing the correct color jersey, you like lose a touchdown or something crazy like that. Is
Not in
that
the one I'm in Allen. He might have
okay?
that one in one of his other. He does make up his own rules though. He, I'll be playing in my own league, and they're like, "These are your rules." I'm like, "These are not my rules." Like, I don't know what you're playing by right now, but okay.
Also, do all of his officials have a little speaker box with the megaphone that transmit? They can just
Just the
yell
most
out.
annoying ones. I don't. Yeah. So yes, all of them. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Travis, anything else you want to share with the audience tonight?
I mean, let me just say that I really appreciate you guys bringing me on. And, we couldn't have gotten to this point and gotten Tampa where it was and set a world record without the players. And, as we haven't been perfect over the years, and we've had some good events and some events that we wish we could have done completely different. And I just love that everybody's kind of stuck with us and to where we've been, and to be able to set that record was really cool. Not just for us, but I mean that's everybody. I mean that's for all the
Absolutely.
players and all the staff who've kind of gotten there. And so I just am really grateful that we've even been able to do this for as long as we have, because it's a very tough industry to make money in and to survive whenever you're talking like adult sports. It happens to be a passion project for us, and luckily Chuck's amazing with sponsors, and so we just are hoping to be able to put so much more together, and we've got so many more plans than are on the table right now that anybody knows about to grow and just provide some cool opportunities. So thanks for sticking with us, and appreciate you guys for having us on, and love the show, and keep you doing what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, Travis, you have a good night.
All right, man. You guys too.
See you,
Later.
Trav.
Wow, that was exciting. That was cool, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of my top 3 favorite bosses.
All right, now it's your turn. No, I'm just joking.
I was going to say, I agreed with him.
Yeah, I guess that was too easy with putting Sean with those two guys, right?
Yeah, that was duh. You're not cutting either one of them. They're the first 2 picks.
Yeah. So speaking of like all the different locations and tournaments coming up this year, is there a location you're looking forward to, Jacob?
Yeah, there's a couple, man. I've never been to Colorado. I'm curious about trying to find why they make cream cheese Philly cheesesteaks. Not really going to try one. I think Boston's going to be a ton of fun. I think New Orleans here in a couple of weeks. I think that's going to be a ton of fun. There's just it's being able to check off places that I've never been. So it's all about the experiences for me. The football, the football is great. The football families are, it's fantastic to be around. But there's also a sense of being able to go and see new things, and I'm super thankful for these opportunities because of that. Without this, I don't know that I'd be doing all these, being able to check all these, cities off the list as quickly as I am.
Yeah, because most people in North Carolina don't leave North Carolina, right?
Well, it's even crazier that I have electricity here in North Carolina.
I didn't want to embarrass you in front of your boss, but can we talk about the saying that you brought up? Something about ducks in water or something.
You've never heard of ducks on the water? What's
No.
wrong with that? It's a simple analogy. When you look at a duck on a pond or a duck on any form of water, when you see them go across the water, they're moving smooth. When you looked under the water and saw their feet are going crazy.
So basically, every animal ever that swims.
Yeah, nah, not every animal. Not every animal. A duck's got a certain grace to it while it's coasting across the pond.
Okay. And there's lots of ducks in North Carolina?
Oh, my God. Is this where we, is this where we're at?
I mean, I don't know. It just seems cool. Oh man! So as we were saying, we are still kind of recapping Tampa. Last week we talked a little bit about contact. We got into that. I
Yeah.
went over the bracket with you guys a little bit, and apologies to Carolina teams, blah blah, whatever. But on social media, okay, so the Elite 11 came out. We all saw that.
Yep.
Lots of, this person's missing and all of that. And, everyone's got something to say. The international list, here at Clocks Running, we spent some time kind of diving deeper into Elite 11. And we've been looking at the international list and just matching them up against each other. So I want to talk a little bit about like the Olympic division, Olympic format with you.
Okay.
Was there? I know that there was rules that kind of got changed prior to Tampa. How do you feel like those were received?
Overall, well, I mean, the things that we adjusted were more geared to IFAF and the way they operate, so that way, these teams can get used to, what's coming down the pipeline in a few years. The goal was to be able to say, hey, you guys play this way with IFAF throughout the rest of the year. And, if you come to Tampa and you play in our worlds, let's make it as close as possible without having to redo our entire structure. So, we made some tweaks, and, I think overall it went well.
Yeah, and then remind me how many international officials we had at Tampa.
Approximately 25. I think maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less. I don't remember the exact number, but we had several. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you think that did most of them officiate the Olympic division, or
yes, that
yeah.
was. I'm pretty sure almost all of them did. Maybe one or two didn't, but overall the large majority did.
How do you did you get feedback from them at all about how the Olympic format went from their viewpoint?
From what I heard and understood from them, they had a couple little things they had to change with themselves, but otherwise, everything was business as usual for them. I think time difference and trying to get through the games and stuff. They use pool play to work their kinks out, and just like the teams do and the players do. But they I think they had a pretty good handle on it, and I think they received it pretty well.
Yeah. I know you're like most of the time in Tampa, you just had your feet kicked up and you weren't really doing much. You weren't on the field a whole lot either. So, were there any games that you happened to watch in the Olympic division?
I didn't really get to watch. I spent a little bit of time during one of the championships and got to watch. I think it was the U.S. championship I got to watch and kind of go back and forth between, and that's on the men's side. The women's division I didn't get a chance to spend much time with, unfortunately, as we were kind of wrapping up the day and trying to get ready for Saturday. But yeah, I didn't get to spend a ton of time. I didn't really get to watch much football at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, naps, right? You were taking naps throughout the day.
Yep, naps, crackers, had a lot of crackers. Yep, had a lot of crackers. Got called a cracker. But let's see what else. Lots of mini donuts. Had a lot of those.
Oh, what was your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
I don't remember. They were all so tasty.
Yeah.
What else? I think I got a cheesesteak, couple lemonades. Just
That's cool.
Just hey, it's vacation time.
Yeah. so I showed. There was a clip that we showed on Instagram of Law. Shout out Curry Bombers. Shout out Law. They were in the Olympic division in their pool play game. They played TC United. They ended up having to play them again in the playoffs. I was just there live streaming games. So I did my very best to stay as much out of anything. I did not want to be, somebody that was then, asked questions or whatever. Maybe after a game here or there, if an official asked me something, I wanted to kind of give some advice there. But during a challenge, and I'll just explain the scenario to you, but Law came up to me and he was wanting me to ask the question or answer the question.
Got it.
Yeah. so I stayed out of it. I said, well, I'm just going to wait to hear what the director says. But so let me explain the scenario to you, and you can answer the question just so everyone's on the same page here. I will say this before I explain it: the officials and the director handled it correctly. They did exactly what it says in the rule book, and so there's not. This is not your chance to go back and undermine what was done on the field. So
more dry snitching. Got it.
So essentially, TC United started the drive. I think with like maybe anywhere between like 10 and 15 seconds left. They were down, but not more than 6 points. So we're looking at stop clock. They run one play, and I think they had to call a timeout there. In Olympic, there's 3 timeouts. So they burn a timeout, and so then I think they're at 11 seconds. Then they do 2 quick passes that go out of bounds, both, or a catch and then out of bounds. Yeah. So, even maybe it's 6 seconds at this point. They're in the red zone. It's second down, second and goal. So before they get going, the quarterback from TC United calls timeout. All right, that's your second timeout. You got 3 total. They let the timeout go, and then the TC United quarterback again says timeout. So immediately, defenders on Curry Bombers are like, "That's unsportsmanlike. You can't do that. He can't call 2 timeouts in a row." All this stuff. So now the TC United quarterback just real quick says, "Okay, we don't want a timeout. You didn't call it. We won't take one." Official whistles. We're ready to play. Quarterback snaps the ball, throws a touchdown. TC United goes up. Then at that point, Curry Bombers call a timeout, and they want to challenge the fact that 2 timeouts were called in a row.
After a play's been ran?
Correct.
You can't do that. You can't challenge something that happened a play before, number one. And number 2, there's nothing in our rule book that says you can't call 2 timeouts in a row.
So that's what happened. They lost the challenge for those 2 reasons. A play was already run, and you can call 2 timeouts in a row. So where is that from? Is that an NFL rule or?
Yeah, it is. I can't remember if it's a college rule too or not. I'd have to go and look. But yeah, they're in the NFL. You can't call back-to-back timeouts. But our rule book, we don't have anything written. And to be honest with you, we'd have to go check the high school federation book just to double check and make sure. But yeah, within the USA flag book, there's nothing that says you can't call back-to-back.
Yeah. Yeah, and also this is such a different realm where it's timeouts per game. It's not a timeout per half. And like I've explained to a lot of players, we run a stop clock, not a pro clock. That's a very big difference too. You got to understand that this is not comparable to the NFL. So, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, and unfortunately, and we've tried to clean it up, and I think we've done a really good job of doing that in the last few months of our rule book. We've gotten rid of the words pro clock because a lot of the places in our rule book said pro clock when what we defined as a pro clock is our stop clock mechanic. So we've gotten rid of that. We've gotten that phrase out of the book. So now it just says stop clock. That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, gotcha. So that being said, the Curry Bombers ended up losing that game, and because of that, they had to face TC United again in the playoffs. I was able to watch, live stream and watch a good amount of the men's games. I did not see the U.S. championship. I think it was injured reserve and like Rocky Top trash cans, basically.
Yep.
I was watching the Red Roosters and Blazers, which that was such an exciting game. International, France versus Canada, and they were making full use of the foam pits. Let's just put it that way. But
It just seemed like appropriate. I don't know these lingos. I'm not a kid.
So that was really exciting. And the only thing that I will say, as far as the championship, I think it's really cool that there's like an international bracket and a United States bracket, and so there's going to be champions from there, but then they get to face each other. I think that just adds another twist to it. Um, so ultimately, it was Red Roosters against Injured Reserve. And this is the only thing that I'm going to offer advice for players. Something that I observed while I was recording the game. I'm not exactly sure what happened that kind of brought on controversy, but it was close to the end of the first half. It was something as far as like, you hear players all the time like, how was that play 7 seconds, and how was the concept of time becomes like very
Right.
very challenging, as if as officials, like, we don't have enough going on. We are going to tinker with time, as if we're Doctor Strange, like we have the time stone that we can mess with with how time functions.
Right.
Right. So it was like the end. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think I agree with what you're saying. I think people don't understand, like, your count is different than my count, which is going to be different than what the clock's count is. And that clock, it can give you a versus where they're wanting to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're thinking, it's all over the place. So ultimately, just let the officials count it out. They're not going to screw you on time. They're going to do the best they can. They're going to make sure that you're in the right place that you're supposed to be. I think it gets lost.
Yeah, and this wasn't a rookie that was fishing. The ref for this game was Lance. I think he's
dry some more.
I think he's ran a clock from time to time.
Once or twice. It's okay.
So yeah, so anyway, the first half, it's a running clock. We all know that. Nobody called a timeout. Essentially, what happened is Injured Reserve thought the clock went faster than what they expected. Time expired. But the only thing that I observed, and this is what I want to share with players, is at the end of the day, as officials, we are there to do a job. We're also human, and we will make mistakes from time to time. But the more attention you pay to us, the less attention you're paying to your opponent. And I think this was a perfect example in this game, where Injured Reserve was so focused on what Lance had done at the end of that first half, which is all he did was look at his clock and count out what the clock was saying. And they spent their entire half talking to him about, well, this play was 7 seconds, and this play was 5 seconds, and doing this and all this stuff. And I just happened to look over, and France is in their huddle. They're talking about it. They're game planning. They're hyped up. They're excited. They had already, let's go France. Viva, I don't know, whatever they say. Viva La France.
Viva La France. Okay. All right. We're just making. I don't know. You guys just make it right. This is your world. If the French, if that's what the French guys say, rock and roll.
It's like a combination of French.
Now all of a sudden, France is in Mexico.
They're like eating frog legs, and Viva La France. Like, they eat frog legs in France, right?
No, do they eat French fries in France?
Oh, but what do they call them? Hold on, what do you call a quarter pounder in France?
A quarter pounder?
Oh, come on.
I don't know. Oh, man, I don't. Oh, what was it? Yes, I can't remember what he said.
It's the metric system.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, so anyway, back to the game. So then France, like they get back in, the game's about to start, and like literally they've got smiles on their faces, they're hyped up. First play of the game, Tronky throws a pass, and the rusher just bats it down, and he's just going crazy, like, oh, and you could just tell the momentum is, completely in the, on the French sideline, their players, and they ended up winning that game. So that's my only advice. I think that's a clear cut example of like when maybe the players from the injured reserve side just spent too much time focused on the officials when they were right in the game. I think it was a one score game.
Yeah.
And and I think it could have looked different. So you have any thoughts on that? Or?
Well, I mean, all the guys from the Red Roosters, they just went and got a Royale with cheese, and they just rock and roll from there. I had to look it up. I'm not gonna lie, I could not remember.
Oh, yeah, I know. Anyway, so the other French-speaking country that participated on the women's side, it was Sub-Zero against, was it Game Changer? I think Game Changer.
Yeah, Game Changer ended up winning.
Yeah, they ended up winning. So, it was, again, just an exciting game. I think the Canadian women, I think they put the rest of the world on notice at Tampa. They said, we're here. Yeah. I mean, they won women's air it out, which is like, that's a pretty big bracket.
Yep.
They won the International Olympic. I know Matrix was right in the mix on a lot of the in the brackets. And then my friends, Cayenne, every
now
time
we're making friends with the teams. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, Cayenne. Like,
okay.
I was not officiating. So,
I know. I didn't say you were.
But anyway, they won the big matchup that that 5's non-contact. So and they beat who they beat? Elite in that. So
and that was a great game too. That was a really good game.
For sure.
That was actually a great game.
Yeah, and that being said, I think whenever we post our new top 25, we got voters from all over the country, and whenever Sub-Zero or Cayenne has been in the top 25, there's definitely been some feedback that we get, maybe from people that either play or coach teams like Elite, Flag Football, or Game Changer, or Apex. And, they voice their opinions a little bit. But I got to say, again, I got to say,
good.
I just feel like Tampa showed, that Canada's here. As far as the women's teams, they're willing to travel. They won in Nashville. They came to Tampa. They won in Tampa. I don't think they're going to be messed with.
I know you're not going to keep forgetting to leave my Canadian prodigy Avery out of the conversation.
Go ahead, talk about it.
No, well, I mean, it's just quickly become one of the best officials we've got. And, just a product from Canada.
Oh yeah, well, no, that's true. And to be fair, she did have to deal with me standing next to her for probably like 70% of her games. So I definitely.
Anybody.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to deal with for only like an hour a week, so I imagine.
Just stick a pin in it.
But no, she did an amazing job, and I know. I mean, I just think she had a lot of big time games, and she manages the field really well. I also think she's got and I don't know if she's a mom or not, but she totally takes the mom approach with the men's players.
It's just hilarious to me.
So got big personality. I'm gonna try snitch right now. Big personalities like Rock get put in their place real quick when Avery starts talking.
This is what we call growth. You're owning that you're dry snitching.
No, I can't even. I'm not sure what the game was. It was Supreme and Nas were playing, and I just happened to like walk over, and there was already like an officials huddle going on, and I'm like, okay, I got to turn the live on, and like it's so funny because literally Avery's like, okay, boys, like calm it down now. We're gonna. And then I think there was another situation. It was in the fours 35 over championship. So I think it was Hard Target and Runnin. And there was a challenge procedure that happened. And again, the call on the field was correct. Avery, but she said, I need both captains. She starts explaining the situation, and the captain from Hard Target kind of walked away a little bit. And she said, you're not going to finish, you're not going to stay to finish here what I'm saying?
Good. Put these guys in their place.
She was like, I know you don't like it, but at least, wait till you hear the end of it. So no, that was a good time for sure. And I think as players, you got to appreciate the fact that this is an official that is traveling from another country, and she works very, very hard to be at the top of her game.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. For sure.
All right, cool. So that being said, there is a couple other things I want to talk to you about in the wide world of flag football. And I've been waiting all week. I know you and me talk throughout the week, and I try not to bring up conversations because I don't even want to hear your opinion. But what do you?
Okay.
I want to wait. I want to hear it now. Now I want to hear it.
Well, whenever it's convenient for you, that's fine. Go ahead.
So let's talk about the Pro Bowl games.
Okay, Pro Bowl.
So first and foremost, what do you think about the whole premise where there were like points awarded on Thursday night and like all these other games? How do you feel about that structure?
I think it's fun. I think it's we've gotten to a point. People didn't enjoy the watered down tackle game we were playing, in the Pro Bowl. So the NFL came back and said, let's do something different. Let's get these guys involved in different ways. Is it football? No. Is it the tackle football traditionally that we're used to? No. But it's getting these guys to do things that are getting the fans involved, getting the interactions they want, and having fun. They enjoy what they're doing. I know a lot of people opt out of it, but the ones that are there, if you look and pay attention, they're having fun. So I'm having a good time with it. I enjoy it.
In the actual flag football game, what stood out to you from an official standpoint, from a fan standpoint? What stood out?
I think the thing that stands out to me is the lax that these guys take. That you can tell they don't take it seriously, and it's I think from a flag player's perspective, I think it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow that these guys are talking about in 2028. Oh yeah, we want to play flag football in the Olympics, and then they watch that game and they see. Some of them take it a little bit seriously. Peyton Manning's probably the most serious person out there. But you see some of these guys who, they're jogging, they're barely covering anybody. They're not, they're still making some breaks on the ball and stuff like that. That's truly to an NFL caliber. But not seeing these guys take it seriously, and then having guys and girls that go to trials and they go through the whole process of getting on the national team. To just be potentially feel like their spot's threatened by somebody who's not taking it seriously. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, no, absolutely. How about from an official standpoint? How do you feel that game went?
Overall, fine. I think there's from what I understand, they're pretty much told the first 3 quarters, let them play, let them you go. I think the universal mindset of, if you hustle, I hustle. I think that mentality's taken, and you can kind of tell. I mean, those guys and gals are working hard. Shout out to Desiree. She was on that crew. She was working hard. You could see her pop up here and there on the sidelines and stuff. It was really cool. But yeah, I think that mentality's taken. They're going about as fast as the players are wanting them to go and everything like that. So I think we get down to the fourth quarter, you start seeing a little bit more penalty flags come out. You start seeing things kind of get a little bit tighter. Calls that we would normally see as flag players become more prominent, which is cool. I think it's all part of that, though.
Do you remember how many officials were on the field?
I think it was 7. I think it was a 7-man crew.
7?
I think it was a traditional 7-man crew.
Okay, but that was a wider field, right? That was the full.
I think they played the full width like we're used to with the 53 and a third for the NFL, and they just played the. It almost looked like the new 7-man field.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Their center just had to sit down as soon as they snapped the ball.
They're playing OT7 rules.
Yeah, exactly. I got to say though, the rusher, I don't know if he was from the NFC. I think he might have been from. I'm not sure, but he's like a special teams guy, and he was going full steam. I mean, he was there to play.
Yes, definitely, and he was with the NFC. He's a Dallas Cowboy, but you could see like he was. They gave him a job in the beginning, and he ran with it literally.
Yeah, I guess that to me that was a big surprise because I guess I felt, and I know I've been somebody that has continued to say this is not what I want, but what I feel like is going to happen is that the NFL players are going to end up taking all the spots. I guess the two positions that I felt like might end up, staying with flag players was the rusher and the quarterback. But seeing that guy rush made me think maybe we still don't truly understand what NFL speed looks like.
True. I mean, the thing about it is it was kind of refreshing because overall he understood the assignment. Like he understood what he was supposed to be doing. And it was almost I feel like there was somebody there telling him, and you can see like these guys are starting to get the concepts a little bit. They're starting to understand, what needs to do. You're seeing the little hip moves, just a little bit, not much, because there's still a lot of goofballs out there. But you're starting to see the little things start to shine through a little bit. You give Pat and George a couple of these players in about a week to work with them, and you could see probably a big difference.
Yeah. Well, and I think we just have to be realistic about the fact that the positions aren't going to be natural, like where Micah Parsons isn't going to be rushing in the Olympics. That doesn't make sense. No. And George Kittle is not going to be the wide receiver in the Olympics. Like,
no, he's going to be playing center.
So, but then even watching interviews during the media week for the Super Bowl. Even the current quarterbacks, are saying that's 3 years away. I'm probably too old to play in the Olympics in that situation. And so I think that's what we have to look at is probably the players that have the potential of playing in the Olympics might not even be in the NFL yet.
True. I think something, if you look at it, you're going to see like the Lamar Jacksons. You're going to see Patrick Mahomes. You're going to see that style of play where they're versatile enough to where, whoever's snapping can give it to a back. They flip it to whoever's the quarterback, and that now they have the run pass option, right? You don't want to limit these guys to just throwing. I think, it was nice to see how Baker Mayfield played. I think he'll be a little bit too old, but Sam Darnold and Jared Goff, definitely both of those guys way too old to even think about it. On the AFC side, I'm trying to think who was the quarterbacks.
Russell Wilson.
Too old. Russell Wilson's too old. Who was the other one, though?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember who started the game because Russell did not. He came in second. Drake May, I don't think he's going to be in the NFL much longer. He looked terrible in the Pro Bowl. I don't know how he got there. But yeah, I think there's gonna be a couple of these guys who it makes sense to bring in, whether we want that or not. And I am very much a proponent for the players who got it out of the mud should be the ones to be able to still play in 2028. I don't know that's going to be the reality though.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, so I mean, it was fun to watch, and I guess the thing that I kept thinking about the whole time is I just heard Chun yelling about the baseball hats. Everybody had them the wrong way.
He called me. He called me. He's like, "Are you seeing this?" I said, "I am." Hats are on wrong. Shirts are untucked. Half of them have pockets. The other half had their cell phones tucked into their shorts. One guy had a Sharpie tucked into his shorts, and when he scored, pulled the Sharpie outside the football and slung it into the stands. It was a ton of fun. They were that game was for fun. You can't. There's certain nuances to it that you can't take seriously, and you have to let these guys just have a good time.
Yeah.
Nobody. No.
What?
I said nobody had a GoPro on.
Wait a minute. You can't wear GoPros?
It's news. I know you can't wear GoPros. Why are you so close to the camera?
I just wanted to make sure I heard you right, because I know that's controversial lately for some reason.
Yeah.
That's not a new rule, right?
Been there for a couple of years now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, do you want to just touch on? This seems so simple. It's a big device that could hurt somebody.
And the thing about it is, like, so I'll tell the story. Full disclosure, like, we had a discussion as a staff about it, trying to figure out what was right, what was wrong, and really, it wasn't the ones on the chest where the conversation came up. It's the ones that look like you got it right here on your head, and people running around. We had a guy run, hit, and land, and he cut his own head wearing it. And it's a liability thing. Like, you can't having a big honking piece of plastic and metal on your head or on your chest, like, that's just asking for problems. Whereas if you're just free, you don't have to worry about all that extra crap on you. I get playing at your own risk, but you can't play with others' risk, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess I just from my viewpoint, I just feel like you're not really asking permission from everybody else that's playing in that game if it's okay to wear this. Because to me that's where the risk comes in, is that you go in for a flag, and if they dip, that camera goes into their face, and they're like, wait a minute, this isn't supposed to be allowed. Why did I just get my head cut open by this GoPro?
Yeah, I mean, and I get there's cool content that comes from them. Sometimes some of it's cool. Some of it's watching y'all run like 5-yard drags, and they're terrible. So I don't need to see this version of you just running the whole time.
I don't know, man. I feel like that was cool when GoldenEye came out on Nintendo 64, like in 1998 or something. Like I like it was cool back then, but we've seen that view before. You don't remember the like?
So we went from hold on, wait a minute, hold on. Hold on. I just want to make sure we have the entire scene of 1998 painted for Ann. We went from Weed and Hennessy to Nintendo 64 GoldenEye. Now, I was playing that. I wasn't doing the other stuff because I was 6 at that point. But I was playing Nintendo 64, drinking grape Shasta. So,
it's an all-encompassing.
I was gonna say that's a pretty wild year for you. We went from GoldenEye to Hennessy back. Good time.
I just think about like the having to make having to be really okay, kids these days they don't understand how good they have it, that they can literally go. You want to talk about going to Colorado? Okay,
go ahead, Grandpa. Tell us.
Let me explain this to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
In Denver, they didn't like read the fine print, probably because they were all very high at the time. They didn't read the fine print about dispensaries when it first became legal in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And literally in Denver, it was like every block. And so the moment you would be like, 20 miles within the city of Denver, all you would smell was weed just constantly because there were dispensaries everywhere. Kids do not understand that in 1998, for me to try to get weed and then a device to use for that weed. I mean, I had to like get a carrot and like drill a hole into it.
A carrot?
Yeah, you never use a carrot?
No, man, we used a crushed up soda can.
That's really bad for your health.
Yeah, well, I was already dropped on my head a couple times. It's fine. I've used an apple, never a carrot.
It's perfect size. Pause. So anyway, all I'm saying is GoldenEye, Hennessy, weed, 1998. It all worked together as one. What did you?
No, just taking notes. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that being said, what were we talking about? What was, the GoPro. Don't you remember that in GoldenEye when you didn't have a weapon and you were like, "Fuck,
the chopping head." Yeah.
That's the same thing. Every time I
press the button. Yeah.
Yeah. When you're wearing a GoPro, that's what I see. It's like, and then the ball ends up in your hands. Like pause. So.
Yo, man. Put a hold on this thing. That's 2 in a row.
Okay, so one last thing I want to bring up to you, one last topic for the night. So interesting thing that came up. So IFAF right now they're they are the governing body as far as international flag football goes.
Yep.
So the IFAF World Championship in Finland. I mean, I know everybody who's watching that or whatever. That had so many teams. I think it was like 24 on each men's and women's. It might have been more.
I think it was. I think they actually had 64 teams total between
so
men's and women's. I think so, something like that. Roughly. Yeah.
Or like 40 and 28. I think there were more men's or whatever. So anyway, so IFAF came down with some news this past week that they have crunched down who qualifies for the World Championship when it happens next year. So I mean that's a really big news. It's now to 16, which is still more than how many teams are going to get in the Olympics, from what my understanding is.
Yeah, same here.
Because my understanding is it's going to be 8 teams in the Olympics.
6 or 8, yeah, something like that.
6 or 8. Which I've also heard that even though the United States is a host country, that there's not a guarantee that they would make it. Is that?
Yeah, but I mean, come on, they're the best teams in the world, so it's pretty obvious they'll be there. It's not a question of if no guarantee.
I mean, last time I checked, Mexico won the World Games, bro, in women's.
Okay. All right, dude, you're holding on to this worse than like an 8th grader holding on to a little garage. That's 2022, man. That's like we were still dealing with COVID vaccines back then. So
I'm gonna hold on to it. Okay, so it's going down to 16 teams. So basically, there's going to be these, each continent's going to get some representation. Africa now is going to get some representation, which is exciting.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's cool. So ultimately it's going to be 16 teams. This is the thing that I know you don't want to admit it, but I think the continentals that include North and South America, I mean, that's like, we're talking about the possibility of Mexico, Canada, or the U.S. missing a tournament. I'm just saying.
They're not going to hold a continental and say, those 3 countries, okay, duke it out. Only one of you makes it. Those are 3 powerhouse teams. They're not going to do that. They're going to be smart about it. It's probably, I would say, the World Championships are going to play a big impact. I don't think that's going to be the final selling point. But I think the top 6 teams overall are going to be who they end up taking.
Yeah.
I could see easily Canada, United States, Mexico, Japan. God, who was in the championship game against the United States this past time?
Austria.
Thank you. I was getting ready to say Denmark, and that wasn't right. Austria. I could see. I could see Italy. I could see. There's so many teams that could be there. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Germany.
I don't like the whole, like, let's just say it's 8. I don't like 8.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a lot. I think we have, 2 weeks with you could stretch it out over. I know, obviously, you don't want to play the whole time. But, you have time to play. And I'm also a big proponent of flag football. You shouldn't be playing one game a day and being done.
Yeah.
It's we're not playing tackle football. It's, yes, there's wear on your body, and yes, there's, you need time to recuperate, but you could play a couple games a day and be okay.
Yeah, but there is that possibility that this could be I know we love flag football and we're all about flag football, but now people can say that it was a bunch of bots voting, but let's take a look at who won Athlete of the Year for the World Games. Fan vote
did that finish up?
Yeah, and it was like a sports climber from Indonesia.
That's not, and they cheated. They put the bots in and went to town. They cheated.
There's plenty of bots in America that could have changed the vote. Like,
did we use them?
Okay, for the first time ever, America doesn't cheat to win an international team.
Oh my gosh! So who was on the ballot from Mexico that you wanted to win more than anybody in the United States?
There wasn't. That's the thing.
Oh, so then what random country did you pick then?
Huh? Oh, I voted for the sports climber every single day.
Yeah, you're horrible, dude. That's terrible, bro. No wonder he won.
I just like to mix things up, man. I just like
mix it up and give it to the bots, dude. You gave that to a bot, a sports climber. Come on, dude.
You haven't seen those? You haven't seen them? How fast they are? They're like.
No, those are called spiders.
Oh, okay. My bad. I was watching them in the Olympics. Anyway, but there is a possibility that flag football could be one and done in the Olympics.
Yeah, I know, that's kind of sad. I think this is where the NFL is going to help. This is where having those players with notoriety is going to help, and it's going to suck, and it's going to be extremely frustrating. But that's where those names playing are going to help. I think they help keep it around, but for how long?
Yeah.
That'll be the other question, because if they do it this year, are they going to go? Is it Melbourne that the Olympics are in 2032? I think so.
Yeah.
So are they going to go to Melbourne and play again? It being in the United States is a major convenience for these guys, where they can hop on a plane, go play, get done, hop right back on a plane, get to training camp, be ready to go. If they're in Melbourne, that's flying. I don't remember how many hours it is, but that's a long flight. A couple of days to get your body recuperated, because they are professional athletes, so you're having to, spend some time to adjust. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and so just to be the devil's advocate here, if the ever supreme United States blows out every other country in the Olympics, is that really appealing for the rest of the world to want to continue to play it in the Olympics?
I think if everybody's competitive, I think it is.
But that's my point. Say it's not.
I don't think it won't be, because here's the thing. You're going to have all these players in the United States who don't have a place to go. Yeah. And they're going to get, let's just say that the NFL takes the U.S. team, right? You're going to have all these players that need somewhere to go. These other countries would be stupid to not take some of these players in. And you're already seeing a lot of them do that right now. They're taking them into these tournaments and getting them acclimated to playing. Like, I think there's a tournament right now in Thailand they're playing. You know, in Mexico, they had players go down and play. These countries are getting used to the fact that United States players are coming in and kind of integrating into what they're doing, and they're enhancing their organizations. So I think they're definitely going to be competitive. I think they're definitely going to have a reason to continue. And it's just going to be up to the IOC to recognize this and say, hey, this isn't just a fluke thing. You know, it's not breakdancing. This is something that has some sustenance and longevity.
Okay, so Jacob, let's put you in the position of, say you're a wide receiver on the men's national team right now,
Okay.
and you at what point over the next 3 years? Because there's the World Games in China this year. There's also the Continentals that'll happen in Panama, IFAF World Championship the next year, and that puts us at 2026. So we have 2 more years after that of international competition. You on the national team, at what point does the writing on the wall become too apparent that then you are trying to figure out how to become a dual citizen?
There needs to be some major announcements from the NFL. I need to actually hear and see some players' names and see some things happening. The reality is these teams and these countries, they can expedite citizenship if they need to for their benefit. They absolutely can make it happen. I'll use I think we talked about it last year. the water polo. I was watching. I was listening. It was 2 European teams playing. I forget who it was, but they were talking about how many different guys were jumping from team to team, and they were just getting dual citizenship wherever they needed it. These countries can make it happen if they want representation for their sports and their teams. So I think it's, if it's a necessity within some reason, there's countries can make it happen. I don't think people have to jump ship, before the holes are in the boat. You don't have to jump ship before the holes are in the boat.
Okay, got it. I'm just gonna keep moving. I don't want to spend too much time on your North Carolina Saints, but so I mean the high jumper from Sweden,
Yeah.
he he was from like Northern California or something. So
Really?
yeah, it was like
Now,
him. And, huh?
Go ahead.
No, it was like him and another guy from another country, and both of them like trained together in America. They both went to college in America.
So
So
something we learned with the Olympic format with us, as far as the IOC is concerned, it's, if I remember this right, you don't have to be a direct citizen. If you have a direct descendant that's a citizen from that country, you can still also qualify. So you could have that situation where you live in the States, but if you have direct relations to, let's say, Italy, you could be on the Italian national team. It might be easier to get dual citizenship and go that route, but I think I'm trying to remember the exact way. I think I'm right with what I was saying. I'm not 100% confident, and if somebody in the comments when they watch on YouTube, Instagram, wherever they get their podcast, wants to correct me on that, I'd be glad to take that in stride. But I think it's if you're a direct descendant, you can you can qualify for an Olympic team.
yeah, no, I think that's right, and I think that high jumper, I don't know exactly, but I think it was something like his
Yeah.
mom or his grandma or something like that was born in Sweden. He never, he was not from Sweden, but I think that's how it was, which is interesting because I mean, he was the best, but I guess maybe he just looked at it as he could guarantee a spot. I mean, he set a world record that probably will never get matched. I was watching the high jump. I don't know about you, but
No, I wasn't.
anyway, one last person I need to bring up to you because I just want to make sure that you know about this guy because he's a star in flag football. He had a great performance in Tampa. He played for Team Shrooms. So
Good.
I just want to make sure you know that there is a receiver on Team Shrooms that is a kind of a big deal.
Okay.
And everyone calls him TD for a reason. So,
Mm-hmm.
You know who that is now, right?
Yes, I know exactly who it is now. Him and I have talked. Nah, he's a great dude. He was a great sport about it. He got a good laugh out of what I said last year when we did the start cut bench with him and a couple others. And I just didn't realize who it was. So we've talked and we had a good laugh about it. So
Okay, all right, cool. Well, that being said, Jacob, any final thoughts for the night?
man, I think I'm good. Trying to kind of moving past Tampa now, starting to set the gears on the next couple months and what that brings. March brings 3 tournaments to us, and they're all going to be big, and we're going to have a good time with them. And we're just going to keep on rolling through the year.
Yeah, just as long as there's no holes in the ducks and the boat, the boat feet are moving under the water, and I don't know. Well, that being said, I appreciate Jacob. I appreciate you, and I'm so excited for season 2.
Yeah,
This has already been so much fun, and we're just 2 episodes into it.
yeah.
So thank you for coming along on this ride,
Always,
and
man.
I'm sure we're going to come up with some crazy stuff moving forward, and I'm excited for what's ahead. But shout out to all the viewers, all the trolls on social media, everybody that chimes in and has really outlandish things to say about what's the call, but the officials that chime in and say, hey, this is actually what the rule book says. Trust me, it is helping. There are a lot of people that appreciate learning the rules in this way. They see a clip of something and they see a rule, and it helps them out. So I appreciate everyone that's doing that, and we're just going to keep that content rolling. And hey, we're the top dog. We're the #1 flag football podcast in the world, bro.
I think
It's
so.
us.
I mean, it's
You
pretty
know.
easy to say. I'll say this too. One more quick shout out, and appreciate Travis coming on earlier, and I just appreciate what Travis and Chuck both have given the flag community the platform. Without them, this podcast wouldn't have even became a thing. We wouldn't have the platform to be where we're at. And, any players, it's more than flag football. At the end of the day, they create such an amazing environment and atmosphere, and it's second to none. There's nobody else in the world that can duplicate what they're doing. So just I always tell people trust and believe in those guys, and they'll lead us to the right place.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm like watching the Pro Bowl. I'm like, yeah, they had the foam pit, but Chuck and Travis did it a whole lot better.
Oh yeah, they didn't. They had a rope run in between theirs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ours was
No,
just
for sure.
no, it was a good time.
Yeah. So that being said, this is the best experience here on YouTube. You gotta watch us. I just think it adds an extra level of what this show is. But if you want to, listen at work or while you're driving around or whatever, we are on every platform that you can listen to podcasts. So find us and on all of those available ones that I didn't even know existed, but we're on there. The bulk of our content is on Instagram, but it bleeds into Facebook for the old guys and Threads and Twitter. And I'm staying away from the other one because it's illegal right now. So
It's up and running. I don't know why you're worried, man. Cheeto man hadn't taken it away. We're good.
Hey man, I just
listen, clock's running. Okay, if you want to use the TikTok, you're welcome to do it right now. We're not getting rid of it. It's okay. I told you I'm keeping it. Joe's not going to get rid of it. It's fine.
That was really good, man.
Oh well.
Yeah. So that being said, just continue. I guess continue to check us out wherever you want. But hey, on Instagram, we're just killing it, and we're just having so much fun. So appreciate everyone. Elite 11, our bracket killed it with the international brackets. So I'm excited to see what the votes bring when we get into the quarterbacks and the rushers and the wide receivers and the all-purpose. because internationally, I mean, every single day people were on there, get voting one way or the other. We had upsets. We have an 11 seed in the semifinal right now, and he's winning. He might end up being the top international male voted by the fans. Like, how cool is that? And
well, I mean, he was one of the top 11.
Yeah, I mean,
voted by the Elite 11.
As we all say, Viva La France!
Viva La France!
So we're gonna try something different here as we close out. But I appreciate y'all joining the show tonight, and we'll talk soon.
Cool. Have a good night.